Most people get backlinks very wrong, and here are the biggest misconceptions that I find. On my desk today is an interesting key term. It's about white card course online. Now, this is not my client. I have no affiliation. This is a random website that I found just as an example. But today's been a big backlink day. I'm getting a lot of requests for me to audit some backlinks. Is this worth this much money? Is this not? Now, backlinks are a necessary evil. It is a lot of smokes and mirrors. It's the Wild West trying to buy backlinks that are meaningful and actually move the needle. And today I'm just going to sum up my sort of comments on the kind of backlinks I build and buy. First thing is first, do you even need them? Now, in some spaces with no competition, no density, just building the website and the correct structure and the correct service pages and the correct About Us page and registering a Google listing and picking up your social media profiles, which are like little micro backlinks, you might not need them. It just depends on the space. But generally speaking, in most spaces that are somewhat competitive, you do need to be recommended by other websites. That's all a backlink is. It is a signal of trust to Google that another website in your space or in your area or in your country is mentioning you. Now, backlinks come in all shapes and sizes. Most of the time they are quite ugly, similar to the plumbing or the electrical cables under your house. It's not pretty sometimes to look at a website's backlink profile, but it is a necessary evil. Everything with backlinks is to do with the cost of entry to the market. So you have a desirable keyword that you want to rank for. In this case, it was white card online New South Wales, which I know nothing about. It's in the education space / immigration space. This particular term gets 5,300 unique ways. It's searched 173 unique times. And so the question was specifically, is it better to get a local backlink from an Australian website to my Australian website? I'm looking at the competitors and I can see a lot of American websites, a lot of other websites. Now, it's all about niche relevance. For example, a US site that is all about immigration, that talks about white cards and mentions your Australian website, will be a it depends, but generally speaking, far more quality, far more value than just a local plumbing website mentioning you. Now, is it good for a local plumbing website to mention you in your suburb or your city? And we got our white card, online course from them. Absolutely, that's good. That'll help you prove to Google that you're geo-relevant in New South Wales or in Victoria. I love to pick up all of the backlinks I can possibly pick up. It's all just a matter of how much each backlink costs. So a no-brainer is to pick up, when your website is just firing up, is to pick up some directory listings, citations. There are a lot of local directory websites and they seem to be popping up left, right and center. I build lots of them as well, but it's very easy to find online companies that will sell you 100 citations at 100 USD. You provide them your information. They're great foundational links. I think 100 is overkill to send to a brand new website. I'd go 10 and then another 10 each month, so you slowly drip feed it, because backlink velocity is something that is important. Google pays attention to it. If you send 1 million backlinks in the first month, it's pretty clear that you're trying to game the algorithm and do some kind of an SEO tactic. So if you're a startup business, the first 6 or 7 months, I would be sending backlinks that are on par with new pages going live, right? New page goes live, send a few backlinks, right? Once again, a backlink, World Wide Web. The reason it's called World Wide Web is it's a web of links. And did I walk that far already? Let me just fix that. You want it to cool down. Ain't no cooling down with me. We keep walking. I love walking. I love the journey. I love the journey just as much as I love the destination. So, World Wide Web, right? Every hour, every day, there are trillions of little spiders from Google, from the search engines, and a whole bunch of robots. Its job is to crawl the internet, keep it as updated as possible, but also understand these entities, call them industries, niches. You got the medical, you got the finance, pharmaceutical, gambling, etc. These neighborhoods, right? And the crawler is able to categorize a site. For example, if you're talking about accounting and bookkeeping and advice for small business, and you're being mentioned by other accountants or other websites in the accounting space, and you have some directories from Melbourne or Sydney, Google begins to, and the search engines and AI begins to understand exactly where you are, and you're kind of proving yourself more trustworthy. And then it's just a matter of quantity and quality. Quality probably matters more these days because Google will just weed out a lot of crap and a lot of the shitty, cheap link orders, which was on my desk today. I was looking at a order of links. I said that this is no more than 100 USD worth of links. A lot of people are shouting domain rating, domain authority. The higher that number is, the better it is. So for example, DR. Ultimately, while it's worth paying attention to this, domain rating and domain authority is a made up metric by whatever SEO tool is being used. What is more important in my eyes, in my experience, is organic traffic, right? Real people actually hitting the site. It's not that easy to be faked. You can fake it with Ahrefs, you can fake it with SEMrush, but generally speaking, organic traffic that is relevant to your niche trumps a high DR. I've witnessed thousands of sites on my desk that show like a crazy high, unrealistic DR of like 60 or 70, but it's got no traffic. And it just tells me that there's some kind of dark magic redirection happening. There's some kind of, what do you call it, GSA link building, and it's a dead domain. And what was more important is when I looked at the links, the individual links, none of them were indexed. Now they may not have been indexed because they just went live in the last few days. That makes sense. Usually link builders will put their links through a link indexing tool because that's the first thing that a link buyer wants. Is this link actually being picked up by Bing or Google? Is it in the index? Now, it might be that they indexed it and Google's like, I don't want to show this. Crawled not indexed, discovered not indexed. And that's quite normal. So, my advice when I looked at this particular space was I had a look at how competitive the space was. The first place I look at when I am trying to understand how many backlinks I need to build and what kind of backlinks I need to build, I throw the keyword into Google. Now, yes, I have SEO tools, SEMrush, Surfer SEO, etc. But I just want to get a gist of the kind of sites that we're up against. Is this a realistic keyword we can potentially rank? First site that I'm looking at is service.nsw.gov.au. Government site. U.au. Origin Institute. Uni or TAFE, right? The first one that I noticed, which is really, really good to see, but could be an outlier, is Upskill Institute. They have the word institute in there. It's a .com.au domain, so it is a private business. That is the only site that I found that actually shows up. Everything else is edu.au. I personally would not attempt to rank for this space. Having said that, we're already page 2 somewhere. So definitely worth trying. Just the expectation is we really want to be in the top 3, and the top 5 are some seriously competitive sites with high authority. But the first thing I look at, I'm not even going to look at the service.government. I'm not going to look at origin.edu. Let's just humor the situation and have a quick squiz. Now, Origin Institute, origin.edu.au. Let's have a quick look at their site. I'm not familiar with this business. They're actually not doing as crazy as I expected, but it is an edu.au domain. Just got this micro little benefit from Google's perspective. They're only sitting on 500 organic visitors a month. Organic traffic, 4.6k. Yeah. Okay. Definitely not an easy competitor to beat. But then I pay attention to how many referring domains. So 195 referring domains for a .edu domain that's an institute means, I don't know, I feel like they haven't been pushing links as much as I would expect them to. We've got 877 backlinks coming from 195 domains. What I would do further then is I would download that list of links into a CSV document. I would compare it to competitors, and I would then come back and segment. Okay, we need 20 directory listicles. We need 50 guest posts. We need 20 niche edits, which are the type of links that money could be buying. We want to try and match them and overtake them if I'm to humor the situation and attempt to rank on this space. Now, these kind of links will require to be, I would do PR links where you can share statistics of, immigration, turning to trades and things like that. That way you can get some journalists to report on these things. That could potentially help. A lot of the crappy $5, $20 link orders, definitely don't be buying anything on Fiverr. Just won't push the needle. I want to deliver as much value as I possibly can, but many years ago I spat the dummy on buying links, and while I still buy a lot of links, I build my own links. I use my own personal sites that are white hat sites. They're niche relevant sites. For example, a national arborist directory that talks about top 10 arborists in Canberra, in Brisbane. So it's a site that's just about the niche. Guess what? That's juicing up my tree removalist campaigns. Or it might be a site that's just about the suburb. Bondi local. It's just about everything in Bondi. That is a geo-relevant site for any of my Sydney clients, right? And so that's only so much I can do with my 800 or so domains, but there's already a fair bit of foundational links that I can send, mixed with some citations, some guest posts, and then of course I buy a lot of links. I'm not going to recommend anywhere because each month, each quarter, there's just no one really reliable. What basically happens is you buy a link, that link gets removed, the site goes down, or it gets de-indexed, and it's just its own thing. Necessary, but what I discovered when I did inspect the site is a lot of the time people think that I'll just pay this money and I'll get the rankings. Backlinks should only be sent that justify a little bit of organic traffic, that justify the pages, that justify the amount of blogs. When I inspected that site, the on-page SEO had a lot of things that needed to be fixed up. I found a lot of pages that were cannibalizing each other. For example, there were too many blogs that literally had the permalink white card online New South Wales, online course, too many blogs. And I discovered that some of those blogs were already de-indexed and they were blogs from 2023. So cleaning those up. Internal links, extremely important, probably as important as external links. So a link from a blog that talks about how to get a white card online in New South Wales linking to the sales page. You just want to avoid cannibalizing that main term. You don't want your SEO page to lose its rankings or not be considered because Google's already ranking your blog from 2023 on white card New South Wales. Sometimes it doesn't. Keyword cannibalization, look it up. There was a question about penalties with Google. It's been a while since I've actually seen a proper penalty in Google Search Console. I've got a lot of mentors all around the world. They do a lot of scientific testing. I have a lot of personal sites, and some of those sites we use for testing. I believe that these days it's much, much easier for Google's algorithm to simply invalidate links and just not count them, de-index them, for a number of reasons. It's too resource hungry for them to do any kind of manual reviews of things. Even then, if something does appear in your Google Search Console in the warnings, just fix it, and generally it pops back up. Right, so keep an eye on Google Search Console. Having said all this, seeing a big trend of people listening to SEMrush and Ahrefs and SEO software telling them you've got this many toxic backlinks, you should disavow them. Only disavow them if Google Search Console has told you it's having an issue with that problem. The whole idea of the toxic backlinks comes from when there was a lot of negative SEO, which I'm sure there still is to this date. And the theory is that, well, it's not a theory, it's a legitimate thing. You could negative SEO somebody by sending toxic backlinks to their site. These days, I personally believe I don't fish in those ponds. I don't fish in the gambling or pharmaceutical or those dark spaces. I keep away from them. But I find that Google just weeds that stuff out. If there's a Search Console error, clean it up. But sometimes you could be disavowing. A lot of people will jump in and disavow links. That link could have been beneficial. Yes, it looks like it's coming from a ugly looking site, but a lot of plumbing, a lot of electrical cables under your house are not pretty. Just because some third party SEMrush or Ahrefs software told you it's toxic doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or is causing you damage. It might actually be causing you good. I hope that helps in relation to backlinks. I would concentrate on page signals first. Make sure all of your service pages are built out. Make sure your EAT is built out. I would ensure you've got your supporting blog content that's talking about your topics without cannibalizing the main keyword. It's got the internal link trees coming up. Yes, I would concentrate on getting some directory listings in your local suburb, in your local area, be mentioned by local place of eyes and places of commerce and stuff like that. Once you have that foundation built, then you can start trying to acquire some guest posts and start hitting links. They're important. Necessary evil. Hope this helps.